Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the grand final before the grand final that determines which team is going to the grand final. Certified Lover Boys and Karn & Co. is our last game before the big dance, before Championship Sunday, and this one is sure to be a doozy. A team with 4 ex-pros on it, one of them even going all the way to top 4 at the 6th Invitational against a team still majorly of the winning squad from Element 1. And Connor, no matter what happens in this matchup, there will be a guaranteed title defense set up for the grand final tomorrow.
Whether it's one singular player on CLB or quite a few on Karn & Co., that's what we have to decide. But looking at just this team history, CLB, they have a lot of green on their side, but those 2 blemishes on Karn & Co. make you think, things might get a little bit more drastic.
Yeah, I look at this and honestly, it's a little concerning for Karn & Co., right? They kind of got steamrolled in their match against Alpha Theris, and then sure, they were able to bounce back and beat Osiris and Wanted Goons, but I don't think we really put those teams on too much of a pedestal. So for Karn & Co., this to me would be their first quality win of Element 2, and they're going against what I think is probably the most talented team in the league. So they're really going to need a Michael Jordan-esque performance from a player like Gunnar to be able to take this one.
There's a lot of moving parts on Karn & Co. that still kind of look like they're trying to come together. They have won the last 4 maps over the course of the previous 2 best-of-3s they played, so they're no slouch. But CLB still have yet to win a single map. Let's talk about them first, because this is the team that's built up of a lot more success, if only based on the players who have managed to go to the NAL or who have been to international lands. The amount of individual events they've won is different. Rice is the only guy on this whole list who's won a tournament above B tier, Connor, but everybody else, it feels like their experience speaks for itself.
Yeah, that was a subtle flex calling Breaking Point above B
I didn't say
tier,
anything.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you on that one. But I mean, at the end of the day, Spiff, he did have a heck of a performance when he was with Astralis at SI. Sure, never quite made it to a major on Beast Coast, but it almost feels like he can continue progressing as a player. And overall, just everybody across the board on CLB are just great, phenomenal players. And somebody like Spiff, we haven't even needed to see him step up yet. When everybody on that roster can fire and can just have that sort of X factor and can take over a round, they're a terrifying roster to go up against.
Yeah, I think you look at the roster of CLB and it's just, as I already mentioned, the most talented team. A player like Hat was one of the best players in NAL during stage 1. And then Beast Coast kind of had a really strange stage 2 where he just maybe seemed disinterested. And now it seems like he's back and dialed in. Rice literally just played at the Atlanta Major and got top 8 with Dark Zero, was able to play with Troy Canadian and learn a lot from him. And the rest of these guys, they have Nick, who's an Element 2 or Element 1 champion playing against his former team. I'm sure he's going to have some insight into how Karn & Co. like to play. So I do think this is a really strong team, especially at a tier 2 level. This is a team of people that even if they're not at tier 1 right now, they have at least shown the ability to where they get the chance. And that's more than most people can say.
If Nick was going to leave the team that just won Element 1, at least he was going to a team that had a lot of pedigree based on who's been able to go to the NAL in the past. But we can't not talk about the current Kings who are on top until further notice. This is just about to be the hardest part of the gauntlet they've ever had to go through. They are no strangers to playing teams that are comprised primarily of ex-professional players, because that's how they won the grand final of Element 1 in the first place. That GGG matchup is going to live in infamy as far as T2 is concerned, and this roster is as good as it probably could be given the circumstances, Seth.
Yeah, I think you look at this roster, and I'll be honest, I don't think this team as a whole is as strong as the Element 1 version of this team. Gunnar has picked up his play as more and more gets comfortable with the team. I think he's averaging basically 10 kills a map. He's essentially the hard carry for the team, and we have players like Wi-Fi and Kixro who remain to be consistent from that original core. I think in this match in particular, it's going to be vitally important for Karn, and I don't want to say anything blasphemous against Karn, but so far in Element 2, he's averaging 0.3 kills a round. He's coming into this match -30. They're playing a team where everybody has a little bit of firepower. I don't think this is a match where they're going to be able to get away with relying on the gunning of Gunnar, no pun intended, and the rest of the guys. Everybody's going to have to pull their weight in this match, or I think they're just going to be outmatched in terms of that mechanical skill.
Yeah, and if we look at just the stats for Karn and Co. A lot of them look incredibly good. Pretty much the only flaw that you can see is their attacking entry numbers, and right now 18 to 24, not necessarily the best. That is below average, especially by their metric. But as we look in the matchup of CLB, they are a phenomenal team once they get that opening pick on their defensive sides. Right now, 18 times they have won a round if they get the opening engagement. Jacob, how many times would you guess that they have lost when they got the opening pick?
Unfortunately, too many, right?
Nope, one singular time.
Oh, well, there you go. That's not too bad.
Yeah,
You would think.
Yeah, pretty good numbers right now, and I think that is really putting kind of a strength of CLB getting magnified to a flaw of Karn & Co.
All right, well, let's do one quick comparison. Two players, both of which have had Pro League tenures before, one of which has been to a couple LAN events. It's Gunner and Hat, the two best players on their teams respectively at this point. Both of which, Connor, I'm assuming are linchpins, right? If they do well, their team does well. If they don't do well, the team probably isn't going to win.
Yeah, I mean, you might say like, oh, look, Hat has 30 less kills than Gunner, but he's also played a heck of a lot less maps than Gunner has had to play. In Super, I think that it's just easy for us both to say these are two of the players, the best players in the entire league, almost in a league of their own.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just want to take their stats and look at that and say, wow, these are really good players, I think these are just the two best players in the league. Gunner's obviously been on my team, the Sonics, plays top 4 twice at majors, was a team of the stage player on Parabellum in the NAL. That's a guy that you can know play at the top level. And Hat, as we already mentioned, stage 1 of NAL last year. He's one of the best players in the league. So to me, this match really comes down to Gunner has to not only outperform Hat, but he has to perform on a level that can kind of equalize maybe some of the other talent that we know CLB have in his own team's like shortcomings. Like, I really think, and this could be a really good thing, a really good moment for Gunner to show pro teams that that's how good he is, that he can raise his skill to where even against guys that have been in Pro League and that you know are solid players, he can just take over. I think they need that kind of performance from him for Karn & Co to win here.
Well, let's get these guys in the room real fast and see what they had to say coming into our last semifinal of the day.
Hello, my name is Hat, and I play for Team CLB.
My name is Wi-Fi. I am the flex player for Karn & Co.
We feel good. Obviously, it's just one more step towards winning the championship. I felt closer on the second map than it should have been, but we move on to next game. We felt good the whole time. Obviously, there are some downs and, of course, some highs, but we always keep a high mentality. We know we can win no matter what. We just play our game, and we just won. I feel like we're obviously a little more locked in. There's more online. One loss and you're out. So we're a little more locked in than usual, but we all know what we can do to win.
Yeah, it felt really good beating those guys. You know, we lost them. You know, I think we had something to prove. Gameplay-wise, you know, when the first round when we loaded up, you know, we kind of realized that they weren't playing the same as they did when we played them in the group stage. They were kind of shaking, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they weren't doing as aggressive plays together. They weren't getting crazy. You know, it didn't feel like the same team. I mean, it doesn't really matter how the opponent plays, to be honest. Like, we're always gonna try to play our game and adapt to, you know, whatever we need to get the win out.
I don't see a lot of weaknesses in their roster. The biggest strength of Karn & Co is their foundation, their chemistry, and they're all around a good team.
I think the problem with CLB is that they have players that have played in higher leagues before. They played in Pro League. I think coming back to T2, I don't think they're going to want it as much as we do. We're all still T2 players, and we all want to prove something. I think we'll edge them out just because we just want it more.
I feel like the biggest threat still in playoffs would rather be Envy or Karn. Obviously, the biggest threat right now would probably be Karn. So we're focusing on them more right now.
The biggest threat is 100% CLB. You know, I think whoever wins the semifinal match tomorrow, you know, they're gonna win the whole thing.
I feel like all of our goals are the same. We want to win, we want to get back to Pro League, and we want to win together as a team, not individually.
Just watch out for us. You know, we're coming for the title again, and we're not gonna stop until we get it.
Look, just because it's a team that's got a whole bunch of former pro players on it does not mean that that's not a realm that Karn & Co themselves have already stepped into before. Connor, you remember you were front row watching that grand final of Element 1, trying to figure out how in the world they were coming back in that matchup. So for Karn & Co, this is old hat. They can definitely go back and do this again.
Yeah, it is very well could happen because it was just pure grit and determination that clawed them back into that game. And something that I did just realize as Hat was kind of talking about the Karn & Co system is that he actually is a graduate of Carnage B University. He was magna cum laude all the way back in like almost a year and a
Been a
half
long
ago
time, yeah.
of Challenger League, right before he went to Oculix with Gasher. But Hat, that was during LMG meta, and Hat was arguably one of the best Challenger League players at that time. And now all of a sudden he's with Slimy Nick, and both of these two players have a nice insight to what Karn and Co are going to bring to the table.
But Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, this looks like the most monumental roadblock that Karn & Co are probably ever going to have to get over at this point. Say what you will about GGG, everybody on CLB is firing on a different cylinder right now.
Yeah, and I know it's funny you mentioned GGG. I was about to actually bring that up. Is, you know, last Element 1, we kind of saw that as that version of CLB. They had some really good players, a lot of former pros, and Karn & Co were able to beat them in probably the best match of last year, honestly. Yeah, at any level. It was a crazy match. But that was Karn & Co coming back from 5-1 deficits, I think multiple times, going all the way best of 5. The truth is I don't think this Karn & Co is as good as that Karn & Co. Sure, Gunner may be better than Packer, who he replaced essentially, but I just don't see the same coordination. I don't think the team is as strong. So if we're saying CLB are a better version of GGG and Karn & Co are a worse version of the former Karn & Co, like I've already mentioned, am I alluding to, I need like a Hall of Fame performance here from Gunner or Kixrow or Wife. Somebody's going to have to go crazy, I think, to really bring this one home for Karn & Co.
Yep, you need a couple of legends in Tier 2 to really make their name here. You're forged through the fire and the flames of Challenger League. So let's find out where we're going for this matchup. Again, Connor, CLB have yet to lose a map, so what are they going to do with this ban phase?
Kind of go wherever they want, because Karn & Co always have had a pretty kind of zoned in map pool. They like Clubhouse, Oregon, sprinkle in a little bit of Bank and Chalet. That's kind of about it. And now as you instantly take the Nighthaven, sure, CLB, they don't like playing that map. Clubhouse, it goes bye-bye. Chalet, it's an inevitability. It was left up. Karn & Co have to pick it. And the Skyscraper for CLB is one of those maps that I can see them being very, very good on. And I don't quite know if Karn & Co are going to be that strong, considering their past results on it being kind of close against some less than average teams. Going to a bank decider both teams are good on. It's a nice equal footing map that, if we do manage to get there, should be a joy to watch.
Or we can do a little bit of a breakdown map by map. We'll get to Chalet and Bank, but Seth, talk to me about Sky. Much different scenario than what we saw when it was brought out in the previous series.
Yeah, I think this is a matchup where both teams have good map pools. I think they both practice a lot. They both bring a lot of experience from different teams that gives you sort of different insights into maps. So I think all of the maps will probably be relatively close. I just think that at the end of the day, you know, as we mentioned in that previous match, it comes down to CLB need to win Sky, Karn & Co need to win their pick, and then we're going to settle it on a neutral ground. I think it's really important for Karn & Co, even if they don't win this first match of Sky, which is picked by CLB, to at least show that, hey, you guys aren't going to run us over. You're going to respect us. We're here to play. I'd like to see Karn start off, do well. You know, I already mentioned that I think it's important for him to kind of pick up his play a little bit and elevate it like we saw him do in the Element 1 Grand Finals against GGG, because he, you know, I really think he could be an X factor in this match where everybody on his team is kind of dependable and he's always just in the back, you know, droning people in. I want to see Karn get in the action a little bit today. I think they're going to need that extra fragging. And if he brings that, then I could see Karn & Co do what I would consider an upset, to be honest.
All right, so if Karn is actually able to step up his game in the same way, if he gets his MJ game and he actually has a little bit left of the tank for tomorrow, if they were to win, maybe we see a repeat from Karn & Co in Element. But for now, they got to get through CLB. Connor, they look like juggernauts. Do you have them going all the way to Grants?
I really do think CLB are going to edge this one out, because there was a principle that they applied yesterday against Aerial Arise where they were saying, you know, not the best site player. Let's just hit site. And right now, statistically, that is Karn right now. They could try to focus it in. Sure, there's the possibility, Seth, like you said, that we see Karn step up to the plate. He's elevated by somebody like Gunner. But that's a lot of requirement, and that's a big weight on Karn's shoulder that I don't quite think he's ready to kind of hold.
Seth, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I look at, you know, a lot of the variables I just mentioned, right? Karn picking it up, Gunner or Kixrow or Wi-Fi elevating their performance, Gunner just basically showing these other guys why Gunner was making majors and the majority of them were watching him play at the majors. Like, I really think they have to have a lot of elevated performances, a lot of variables that go into this for Karn & Co to win. It's hard for me to predict off of that. You know, as much as I'd love Gunnar to win and show everybody that, hey, he is really good, I got to go CLB. I just think they're a better team.
That's honestly totally understandable. And as much as I like the guys on CLB, I'm going to keep on saying it until someone corrects me. Karn's got an it factor that he's able to turn on, that additional gear that when his team is in trouble, somehow they're always able to push through. So I'll be the one guy to take Karn, even if it means the curse somehow gets activated. We won't have a death that's completely synonymous tonight, and that is totally okay. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we jump into what many people are calling the grand final before the grand final? Connor, anything to say?
You know, this Skyscraper, I think, is going to be a big statement game. Last time we saw Karn & Co play this map, it was a barn burner. It was 8-7 max OT required to beat Osiris and send them here into playoffs. But, you know, I think we can comfortably say that CLB is a significantly better team than this Osiris roster, and you have players like Hat and Asian who can go absolutely crazy on the roam and possibly shut down attacks all the way at the beginning of a round. It's going to be an uphill battle, but more than anything, Karn & Co, they don't necessarily have to win this map. They just have to make a statement and try to gain some respect.
Seth, final thoughts?
My final thoughts are that I hope Karn & Co put up a good performance here, but I'm a little scared that CLB are going to maybe send a bit of a message and say, you think Karn & Co are the second best team? You forget Karn & Co just got blown out of the stadium by Alpha Theris, who lost in the first round of this. Karn & Co's best win so far in this tournament is against Aerial Arise, which we saw a day ago. Not the same Aerial Arise we're used to. Karn & Co, like we already mentioned, they don't really have a quality win yet. They haven't beat anybody I think we would consider in that upper echelon. CLB, I'm worried, could send a message and say, hey, you know, bring back Packer. Element 1 Karn & Co's better.
All right, well, let us know who you think is going to take this bad boy either in chat or on socials. And when we come back, very short break, we'll jump into semifinal number 2, CLB and Karn & Co. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. We are getting ready to get into, as the desk said, the grand final before the grand final. Envy and SSGA already gave us a hell of a show, and if you thought that was good, well, I cannot wait for this one.
I'm expecting 3 maps from this game. Hopefully I don't, I'm going to knock on wood, hopefully not jinxing it. But starting out with Skyscraper, a map that CLB have not played at all, but they haven't really been afraid to bring it, as it was a decider map when going up against Aerial Rise during the playoffs, and they've banned it a whole 1 time during all of Element 2, I believe. So haven't really been going there all too often, but they're not afraid of it whatsoever. And the bans starting out for this map are pretty normal, I'd say. Karn and Go ban Montaigne quite a lot. It's like one of their most banned operators so far during this showing on Element 2. Ying is also just a pretty good operator altogether in the attack currently. 2 Brown, Zami to follow it up. Yeah, nothing too shocking, to be honest, Harrison.
Yeah, what's going to be really concerning for Karn & Co. is CLB's map pool, right? Karn & Co.'s map pool has been figured out. Everyone knows what maps Karn likes to play, right? And fun fact, Skyscraper and Cafe are 2 of their most hated maps. And that's probably why CLB one of the reasons why they wanted to go to Cafe last week, is they know Karn doesn't want to deal with that anyway, so they wouldn't have to worry about Karn getting footage on them. And footage is going to be a big issue for Karn. CLB, including the last game they played, have played a total of 6 maps. And only 4 different ones. They only played 2 different maps through the entire Swiss stage before bringing out the new ones against Aerial, and now further new ones against Karn & Co. Karn & Co., including the last game, have played 9 maps. A lot more footage on Karn, and then, like I said, their map pool. We're going to Chalet. Karn likes Chalet, but CLB, they've been banning it the whole time. They haven't banned it here. Do they have something up their sleeve? And then we go, last map is Bank. CLB already looked good on Bank. This map pool, I'm a little concerned for Karn here.
Absolutely. I mean, both these teams can play fairly well on either 3 of the snaps, but this is probably the weakest one out of the 3 for Karn & Co. So I suppose getting that one out of the way off the rip is not too bad for them. And this is CLB's map pick, so you're kind of expecting to a certain degree that Karn & Co. aren't going to win it. It's more or less just, are we going to see overlying issues with Karn & Co. being able to keep up with CLB's, typical play style on the attack, which is a lot of aggression, hunting down those opening picks. We already have some utility burned away by top black. The Geisha wall's been opened up fairly early as well. So it's a good start for CLB. They're just looking for the right, opportunity to take that first gunfight. Carnage looks to be playing a little bit farther back inside of Geisha as the smoke, and there's another person by top drum holding that single wall. It's been opened up in the prep phase. So they got a nice crossfire established in case someone enters in, but for now, that's not going to be the case for CLB.
I think the early round is going to be a huge factor here. The desk highlighted how CLB are incredibly good at converting their entry picks, whereas Karn & Co, it's a bit more up and down. What did Connor say? CLB have lost 1 singular round in which they don't get the opening, or in which they've got the opening pick. That is incredibly impressive. So Karn & Co need to buckle down and make sure that they can, 1, either stem any early aggression from CLB, or 2, make sure they're on the winning side.
Impact tossed out, but it's a bit of a diversion, hoping to escape this roam clear, but Asian's there to greet him by the reception desk as the Solus, the primary way of stopping a plant for this bomb site, is shut down with just about a minute left on the round for CLB. Sure, they spent a lot of time clearing out that first floor, but now it's not going to be a problem of having that plant be stopped if they go for it, or someone flanking them from the bottom floor, as that roamer is, of course, finally dealt with. Just about 40 seconds left. That Geisha pressure is being reestablished now by Rice, but he's taken care of by Wi-Fi. And that's the diffuser dropped with no one over by that side of the map to recover it.
Giddy, another one too. Are CLB about to lose their 2nd round in which they have the opening pick all season? Karn & Co with quite the resurgence, and Spiff lands in a frost mat that's simply in the middle of the floor. It's all on Hat. 1 onto Giddy, looking for the second. Fries kicks throw, now a 1v2. It's winnable, but Karn himself, the big man, shuts him down. And Karn & Co, against all odds with that opening pick stat, win round 1 against CLB.
Fortunately, no one there to assist the ace playing by Geisha. It was a pretty straightforward elimination. And I think that was kind of one of the only things CLB had left, going for them. They killed Solus, who's the main way of stopping that plant from going down. All they had to do is, get a bit of geisha control, maybe put down some pressure by Karaoke, since I don't think they had a lot of presence by the Dragon side of the map, so they couldn't go by T given how little time they had. It just took so long to kill Gunner that the rest of Karn & Co. could just kind of sit back and wait for CLB to push in through, of course, Geisha and Drum, which were the only two options they really had, given that lack of time or other positions on the map that weren't really cleared out besides the bottom floor. So good on Karn & Co. to at least punish that very slow roam clear CLB had gone through, and now they're looking to extend a whole lot more into this, opposite side of the map, closer to T and Karaoke. Now they're going to Office and Exhibition. Yeah, that is
that's crazy.
That's a visionary mirror right there. They have a whole lot of horizontal angles made with the secondary shotgun, just looking across that entire top floor. That's a bit of a gamble play, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's just experimental. I dig it.
Take notes, people. This is innovation. What you're seeing on your screens right now. Innovation in action.
The T2 mastermind has been let off the leash.
Absolutely.
This is dangerous territory for CLB.
We'll see if they can recover in round number 2. Of course, do have the Twitch on board, so Karn is going to have to be very careful about his mirror windows, sit on them, and stop this shock drone being able to pop them open. Nick, of course, has many more uses as well. He can take out those default cams. He can find those jammers, even destroy Fenrir's dread mines if they're open. I think that's actually, I'd argue that's just as good, if not better, than cracking open a mirror window, because as you can see, Wi-Fi has now lost one of his dread mines, and if your mine is active when it gets destroyed, you don't get that charge back.
And it burned away, and seems like for CLB, they're still taking their sweet time. They'll eventually get the main wall opened up, but I believe there's a mirror by the minibar to have an extra layer of protection despite this new angle being seized by CLB. Really interested to see how effective they can utilize the Grim to maybe create some space and also gather some extra info, despite them maybe not being able to instantly play off of it. And I think what Asian with the Ash Charge got rid of the mirror window, so that's one less angle that Karn & Co. can use to maybe stop that default plant. And I don't believe anyone's playing down below for the defensive side, so this actually could be a good opportunity to get this plant down, perhaps, so long as CLB can, start the round off with a proper gunfight and not allow all 5 bodies still be intact. And again, the lack of map control here is also somewhat of a concern right now for CLB. They really only have breach presence and someone playing by that exhibition window.
The fact that no fights have happened just yet is a bit of a concern for CLB. You mentioned how slow they've been in round 1 and round 2. Karn & Co. are likely licking their chops, just waiting for CLB to be forced to dive on in. And then Karn & Co. is going to have guns facing their way, as well as those possible 2 C4s from Giddy and Karn. Asian is standing in a dread mine. With the purple on his screen, no one's going to challenge him, but no one has to. The time is wasting away. Karn with the opening pick on a Rice, a follow-up onto Nick, and CLB's dominoes are falling one by one. 3 for Giddy, make it 4! Hat stuck in the frost mat, and Karn & Co. 2 rounds in a row, Giddy hitting the bag, making sure Hat knows everyone getting in on the action. That is the most spectacular end to a round I've ever seen.
No further comment on that.
Bro, he called everyone over. Guys, come here, guys, come here. That was incredible.
Yeah, CLB unfortunately just didn't really have anything to, I don't want to say create space, but they had no surefire way of setting up a successful entry. And Karn & Co. hearing literally no noise by the T side of the map, having no lurk from any staircase besides house, which, Hack got caught in the frost match, so that was down the drain. With none of that being a factor in the round, all Karn & Co. had to do was kind of wait for someone to just hop into the site. Or even go through the house breach as well. Those are really the only options that the offense had. And when you've got, a shotgun, mirror windows, a bunch of utility to work in your advantage as well, it's a pretty straightforward 1-2 punch that the defense can just take full advantage of. So they did. Now we'll see the tertiary bomb site pick of Kitchen and Barbecue. But CLB having more of a similar lineup to what they had back in round number 1, except now they have the Nomad and Flores, which are the only 2 I guess, major changes, but, you know, given there's so much of the map you have to worry about, I like the flank watch aspect so no one can, you know, try to get a free hero play in the late round, and then Flores for extra utility, not a bad idea.
Absolutely. CLB, anything that's going to make them quicker is a welcome change. So far, they've been dangerously slow in the first couple rounds. It's a bit of a 180 from the games we've seen, especially against Aerial Arise. I mean, they were smooth. They were quick. I don't know if it's just the map. CLB haven't played it before. Maybe they're just not used to Skyscraper just yet, or if it's just the way Karn & Co. has been setting up, but CLB have been slowed down almost to a halt in some of these rounds. Now, like you said, they made some changes. We'll see if they speed up. There's Karn & Co. The slower CLB are, the better I'm sure they feel.
Asia now beginning to walk up the house staircase, already having some air jabs deployed so he can focus a little bit more towards the direct extension by the Dragon and T side of the map, almost getting into an early engagement as well that could have led to some bloodshed, but no damage dealt to either side. More info being gathered. He spots the smoke playing on the head hole by the T room. That could maybe grant a potential opportunity to work for another gunfight, but still the rest of CLB have to get the ball rolling towards the terrace side of the map as well. And Spiff is now dead. He's been taken care of quite early by Gunner, and Karn as well finds an opening as well onto Hat. This is an impressive start by Karn & Co. once again. We might see a flawless rotation. This is a very tough spot to get out of now for CLB in this deficit.
Finally, Gunner's dealt with. Look at how much damage, how much punishment Asian takes just for challenging Gunner there. And what did the desk say, right? CLB, they're Gunners. Not only are they 5, smart players, pro league experienced players, but I mean, they can shoot with the best of them. And we're going to need to see Karn & Co. firing on all 5 cylinders, especially Karn. He's got to step up and look at him. 3-0-3. He and Wi-Fi are both deathless. And Giddy, someone else who's more of a backline player like Karn, is top fragging. I mean, granted, it's only been 2 rounds, but this is a fantastic start for Karn & Co. 1 for 2, taking out 2 incredibly influential players and operators. And now, we keep talking about speed, John. There's 35 seconds left.
How many more options here for CLB at this point? Damage dealt already via the Frost Mat to Asian, so he's very low on HP and eventually finished off by Karn. Nick will find a response down below, but he's the only one left to find any sort of success for CLB. He's got the diffuser in his back pocket, but with there being a lot of vertical presence above, literally every defender left alive playing on the top floor, there is no chance he'll be able to get this diffuser down, and even if he does, it's a 3-man retake. He'll try to bait that diffuse, forcing someone to drop down. He lands a nice shot on the Wi-Fi, but Giddy's still up above, racks up his 5th kill of the match so far, and Karn & Co. have shown 0 weaknesses so far.
Absolutely. 3, not just 3 in a row, John. 3 strong, impressive defenses thus far. That last round, I mean, Nick did all he could, but that was essentially a 1v4 he had to fight his way out of. Karn and Wi-Fi suffer their first deaths, but it's a small price to pay for a flawless site rotation. And the more Karn & Co. can rack up these defensive rounds, the less pressure they'll have on the attack, which, as we all know, is their weaker side. Always has been, probably always will be. Especially on Skyscraper, a map that they do not play. They have not played it at all, I don't think, right? They didn't play it against Osiris. Oh, no, they did. They won 8-7. I lied. Yeah, because remember, Karn went up 6-0 and then didn't win a single attack.
10 seconds to insertion.
And that was against Osiris. So,
I can't. That's crazy how
Karn,
that just slipped my mind.
Yeah, Karn, I completely forgot about that.
Wow.
Karn & Co. need as many rounds as they possibly can get on the defensive half. Every round they get is just that little bit easier when it comes to that attacking side because, they're not the best attacking team here.
Well, that sucks. Wi-Fi trying to grab a Dread Mine, it's just, I guess, immovable, so that'll just remain intact by the sword hop in. Terradrone going out down below, maybe breaking some utility for a potential lurk later on. The barbed wire being the only source of info for that staircase could be really effective to clear out, but no. It'll be used to destroy the Banshee, which Malusi specifically isn't played a whole lot nowadays. There's just so many better options to pick and choose from. But if you are expecting your opponents to be a little more rush focused or hitting some sort of random lurk, at least it adds a layer of defense that could maybe guarantee you a free kill on someone who's isolated, working for a potential X factor kind of like. We fault them for having that as an option in this round. A CLB are just continuing to again try to gather more info and maybe break a little bit of extra utility, not only those Banshees, but anything else they can spot across the map with those Kludge drones. As the rest of CLB, I imagine, will begin their clear just shortly by the Dragon side of the map and may put some pressure by top black as well.
You mentioned X Factor, and I think that's a key word we should focus on because it's something that I think CLB are missing and they could really use. So far, their attacks have been very one-dimensional, very standard, right? It's like the same attacks we've seen a million times. They don't have that surprise factor that's going to catch Karn & Co. off guard. If you're going to play a standard game against Karn & Co., you're walking right into their trap. You have to do what Alpha Atheris did. You got to get freaky against them. And right now, CLB, either, again, because Karn & Co. aren't letting them, or because CLB wants to play a standard game, it's feeding right into how Karn & Co. want to play this.
Wi-Fi is holding a nasty angle to assist Gunner all the way inside of Office. I think Wi-Fi is playing back towards like the Dragon side of the map too, and Giddy is not too far behind as well. No, he's actually relocated towards Drum, my mistake. But there's so much assistance being done for each teammate here on Karn & Co., and they still have plenty of info despite there being a Brava and Flores to theoretically break almost all this utility. So they know someone's walking up top black, and really it's only a matter of time before someone probably tries to contest Nick, or at least the defense will try to set up holding those longer angles to make sure that the Brava can't really get away with much in this position.
They've got the Banshee too, but Asian will start the killing onto Wi-Fi, the player you mentioned holding a nasty angle. He can no longer support those Office players if they still exist, but it looks like most of the defense has now fallen back. Gunner gonna look to get active onto Spiff. The Doke will be backing off. Gunner almost gets him, but is choked out by his own teammate Smoke Bay. But there's three! What? Karn & Co. explode! Everybody on CLB is down. Nick is the only man left after rezzing himself out of a frost mat, and he's finished off by Gunner. What a mid-round. As soon as CLB try to set up for the execute, Karn & Co. explode out of the site, and they now have 4 in a row.
The smoke grenades to not only isolate a couple of extra attackers, but just make them uncomfortable as well. That was really well done by Karn & Co., still being able to bring out a lot of that utility they had saved up towards the late round to really spark off a beautiful recovery when CLB looked like they were in the driver's seat after winning that first opening engagement and being set up between both Wave and Black to maybe get some sort of plant down by T. It just was not meant to happen, I suppose. And again, the Frost mats. I think we've seen someone go down to a bear trap every single time Frost has been played, Harrison. If not, we're maybe like 1 round short of that. I don't know how the bear traps have been like the biggest issue from CLB, but somehow they're finding more and more success the further we go into this first half. It makes no sense.
Karn & Co. are playing spectacularly right now. And I gotta bring up the point again. We mentioned if they want to win this, they've got to fire on all cylinders. Look at the score lines. When Gunner is doing the worst and he's even, that is a recipe for success for Karn & Co. CLB still don't have that X factor. I mean, remember Wi-Fi even said it during the interview, right? Where they're not the same team as we saw in E1. They're far more explosive. We just saw the perfect example of that. I mean, what was
100%.
that, dude? It didn't even look like CLB were executing, and then they all died. They were just standing there on the cusp of the bomb site, setting up, and Karn & Co. took that opportunity.
We talked about this a lot in the first game, where if there's a weak link, for example, like if you know your opponents are roaming heavily, maybe try to go for an anchor play instead, where you deal with the site presence directly as an attacker. There hasn't been a weak link for Karn & Co. Everyone is either getting involved in the early round entry. I mean, even Karn's taking entry gunfights and winning them. It's crazy. Like, everyone is having impact on Karn & Co. And you can't necessarily say the same thing for CLB right now, where they rely a lot on not only that X Factor play, but in general, just being more successful, mechanically speaking, than their opponents. And Karn & Co. is just simply not allowing that mechanical skill to thrive in this first half so far. So CLB have to find a new way to experiment on the attacking half if they want to find at least 1 or 2 round wins, let alone, a decent half, as is so far for their map pick. of Skyscraper. Gunner's been detected and eventually taken care of. He's been injured, I believe, by the cutoff angle from Asian. Lomai looking to assist, though, and there it is! They can't even confirm Gunner as the Fenrir is going to rotate to try to res him, so it's a man advantage for Karn & Co. now.
Are we going to see a repeat of this game against Osiris? Where Karn & Co. went up 6-0 on the defensive half. A game that before the Osiris game, this year, they have banned 20 times. 20! That is an impossibly large number. And you'd think, oh, well, that means their map pool's incredibly weak. They just hate this map. And then they bring it out, go 6-0 against Osiris, and then completely stumble on their attacks. Bit of unlucky timing from Hat. And Karn & Co. are looking to take another 6-0 against CLB. I mean, what a crazy turnaround.
A lot of players damaged on the side of Karn & Co., but that's the only thing going for CLB is they're still fearful of the frost mats that could have been in this round, but she's, of course, not in play as of right now. But there it is, the resurgence by Karn & Co. once again in the late round. Karn and Wi-Fi win their 1-for-1s respectively, leaving just Rice and Nick across the map looking to barrel their way into the bomb site, but there's so many different angles they've got to worry about and little to no info to help them in this position as well. Smoke grenade goes out, trying to allow Nick a little bit closer towards the objective. A C4 goes off and it blows up Rice sky high, and now it's just the Twitch all alone. They'll stop the flawless round, but they won't stop the 5-0 split we're bound to see in the next 2 seconds. Giddy puts them out of this misery, and we could see another flawless half if Karn just win one more.
Another incredibly slow round from CLB, John. They're floundering. They're in search mode mid-round. Karn are not giving them any holes. It's incredible. These are some of the tightest defenses I've ever seen. And CLB cannot find a single crack in the shell. They're struggling. And Karn & Co. are perfectly happy to simply shoot drones, fall back, sit in the site, and wait. It has worked 5 rounds in a row. And none of them have been close. Like, none of them have even gone down to 1v1s. That's how dominant this defensive half has been so far. But, we need to keep in the back of our minds, even if Karn & Co. get the 6-0 here, they could not win a single attack against Osiris. Now, I don't know about you, but I think CLB are a better team than Osiris are. We're going to need to see a major change on Karn & Co.'s attacking side. Now, they only need one more round. That's all they need. It doesn't even have to be a major change. It can be one fluke round win, and they have the map. But it's still something to consider.
Even in the back of our minds until we see the conclusion of round number 6. I was gonna say they have Asian on Osa. Maybe they'll have a black hallway cutoff for the Geisha presence. I'm definitely a fan of that. And there's no one playing Black Stairs either, so it's gonna be much easier to set that up. That could be a great way of having a much faster round when it comes to this roam clear up above. And it also just makes it a little harder to retake. You're able to get that plant down. There's now a Talon shield guarding that hallway, which is kind of the main way of getting back into Geisha as a defender. So little things like that can be very impactful if you're able to set up after the Talon shield's been deployed, of course. Rotero drone comes sailing on in through the building. That destroys the main shield the Frost was trying to play off of. So it'll be a little easier to confront her as well. But of course, when trying to deal with Geisha, it's also nice to have some presence inside of that position directly. So if we only see this black presence be effective, then that's an entire other half of the attacking clear just kind of left out on. And thankfully, Hat's actually rotating on that side of the map, so maybe he'll find some damage over there.
I do at the very least like the change from CLB, right? They're not just trying the same thing over and over again. They're actively making changes, trying to see if something will stick. The problem is that if this doesn't work, they're down 6-0. This is a very late change to be making, but nevertheless, we'll see if this Osa pick ends up working out. There's plenty of roam presence upstairs for Karn & Co. You're right, Giddy. He spots the Claymore. Oh, but there's someone currently rappelling up. Nick hears him behind the barricade. Isn't going to challenge. Giddy could definitely go for it. He sees the Claymore, shoots it, spins around, but no, he doesn't land the shots!
Oh my god.
Oh, that was like carry the boats Giddy we just saw. Luckily, Wi-Fi's got a response, but Hat and Spiff are going to chime in. And Wi-Fi and Kixro, off the back of a very unfortunate whiff from Giddy, are now stuck in a 2v4. Kixro is going to try and make it happen, but his teammate falls to Asian. He's going to need a 1v3, now a 1v2, if he wants to end up winning this round.
Smoke grenade going off. Obscures the vision of Kixro. He cannot stop this plant from going down. He's got to recontest down below against Hat. Essentially a 1 versus 1. But that plant is confirmed, and there's a vertical to worry about. Through the smoke, he'll still win that confrontation. But as I mentioned, Spiff can just hop into the building and look to wait for the Frost to walk up the black staircase and take another 50-50 gunfight. But doesn't Kixro wins it! More than enough time left to defuse, and that's double digits for Kixro and 6 beautiful rounds confirmed for Karn & Co.
Are you freaking kidding me? Kixro, what a clutch! You can never doubt this guy. He's always in it. The 1v3 4K post-plant to confirm 6-0. Karn & Co. are unstoppable right now. Even after this, too. Like, this is how they started the round. And Kixro played this perfectly.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow, was that Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
I hope that was Kyle, bro. Who was on Dark Zero? Who was on Astralis? Tell him, bro. CLB, this is not the caliber of play we are expecting. Pro League alumni for what? Down 0-6 on Sky.
On their map pick.
Boys. Their map pick too.
What is going on?
10 seconds.
Oh my god.
I love. Did you hear too? As they were screaming, I think it was also Wi-Fi was like, "Watch for Claymore, watch for Claymore."
Yeah.
Dude, even in the heat of the moment, they still got their head in the game. They're still focused
Bro was
up.
terrified that they were going to lose that from a Claymore. I don't blame him. I mean, they had a couple of Claymores picked out in that round for the hop-out denial. But I was going to make a talking point about this before the round really went all the way through during the action phase. The only person on Karn & Co. who was not involved in an entry engagement, not winning one, but just involved in one, was Giddy. And then he hopped out as Solus and, had a little bit of a whiff moment. But still, everybody has been able to engage in an early gunfight if they see the opportunity for it. And, if Giddy just didn't whiff that right there, that would have been kind of a free kill. There was no one over there to really assist the OSA, I think it was, and not the Buck. So I really like how Karn & Co. have been so willing to just cut against the grain sometimes, if that means they'll have an easier time in the late round. And hopefully we see that same aggression on their attack now.
Here's where the momentum could possibly shift. I hate to sound like a broken record, but last time Karn played this map, they went 0-6 on attack, and CLB are a very good defensive team. Spiff has already eaten a ton of damage, and Karn & Co. have already gotten that VIP wall open, so at the very least, a couple starting steps done sub 1 minute. This is going to be a big point of contention, though, is going to be Nick's mirror window. Even if Karn & Co. are pushing from the other side, that mirror window is not going to have any effect. But they still got to worry about this guy in cups. So Karn & Co., even when they full clear the map, that's something they're going to have to tackle later into the round.
Asian will spot the Claymore. With that info, could potentially hop out and make this a very miserable clear by the office side of the map. PD currently getting some vertical work done, looking for either a kill or just breaking some utility down below. Maybe those bandit batteries being a bit more problematic, but he just narrowly escapes with his life, maybe using the rotate to find a better angle against Spiff as he's just walking up the house staircase. And Kixro gets rid of Asian. That's the Solus shutdown. And I think the only roamer that was left on that first floor as well. That's going to allow Giddy to continue his job as the Buck, creating more pressure into the bomb site. And not only that, generally speaking, that's still a man advantage for Karn & Co. once again.
You're right, that was the only roamer, and a big one at that. Now you've lost your main form of plant denial downstairs. You've lost that delay. Giddy's going to be a lot safer. But again, we got to worry about this mirror. It seems like the push is going to mainly come through the wall. Gunner's just going to run on in and smash it. Down goes the control. Wi-Fi gets one. Wi-Fi gets picked off, but immediately refrags Spiff another. But Gunner's going crazy in the bomb site. We're down to 2v2, but the plant's been completed this whole time. Karn's just been sticking it. and both he and Giddy are allowed to evacuate the building. Rice and Spiff have to search for these players, but they don't know where Karn is. 7-0 to start the series off on their opponent's map pick. If this isn't as good as E1 Finals Karn & Co., I don't know what is.
Such a power play by Gunner as well. Not, I suppose, expecting his opponents to not be prepared for him just to waltz in like that. Breaking the mirror window, now she's got to back off, and it also allows her to make more space to then look for the player in the opposing bomb site. That was just really well played by Karn & Co. They took their time to set up on the top floor, still getting some vertical down below and hunting the only roamer that was left in that first floor. And the second, that Solus was dealt with and they got more vertical established, they just walked into sight. They didn't overcomplicate it. They didn't allow for that recovery to happen by CLB. And they win their opponent's map pick flawlessly and get to go to Chalet, one of their best maps currently.
Yeah, that was the best start we could have possibly asked for Karn & Co. Every single round being won dominantly, with the exception of a 1v4 from Kickstrow. We're going to go to a quick break. Let CLB recuperate after a shocking loss. And when we come back, we've got the desk to break it down.
Good freaking grief. That game made CLB look like Drake's critical reception on For All the Dogs. That was absolutely not the way that CLB wanted to start things off, and absolutely the way that Karn & Co. wanted this series to go in the first place. Their opponent's map pick won, not just decisively, not just with a little bit of impact to get things going for map 2, a 7-0. Every single round, a CLB team tried something, and every single round, all 5 members died, leading to one of Karn & Co.'s best maps of Rainbow Six we have ever seen, Connor.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we had the listen-ins and comms. Karn & Co., they're yelling, they're hype, they're screaming at each other. All of a sudden, you go to CLB, it's radio silent. There's nothing going on. And Seth, one of the things that we were saying is there are so many things that had to happen for Karn & Co. to pop off. But both of our minds went to the exact same things. Karn had to step up. Somebody else had to step up. Gunner might get canceled off by Hat. And why did we ever think that that wouldn't happen? Because if we both come to the same conclusion, like, it has to be right?
Yeah, I think that was a situation where a lot of what we talked about before the game kind of occurred, where, you know, let's use Karn as an example here, right? Karn came into this match averaging 0.3 kills per round. He was -30. He averaged over a kill per round. Looking at his stats, he had more kills himself than 3 of the players, Hat, Spiff, and Rice combined. Rice had a 4. I can hold his rating up on one hand on the map. 0-7, 0-1 on entry. That was a whooping from Karn & Co. onto CLB, and that was CLB's map pick. Now we go into Karn & Co.'s pick of Chalet. You know, I'm really worried for CLB. A lot of these players on CLB, if you follow Pro League, if you're familiar with them, have not had the best reputation in terms of their attitude or their mental. I'm really worried for their team in particular, how they're going to deal with losing a 7-0 map to Karn and letting Karn basically dominate you and make 3 former pro players look like they're his sons.
I mean, we're not even really able to dive into the minutia on this one. We could talk about who has starting side, who feels like they've got the most momentum. The momentum is all on one team at this point now, lads. It's all going Karn & Co.'s way. Nothing CLB tried in that previous map went their way. Nothing seemed like it was working. There wasn't any momentum slide back in their direction. Like Connor mentioned, their comms were dead. Is there any positive that we can take away from Skyscraper, or do they just need to find a way to have Will Smith's Men in Black pen and just completely forget everything that happened in that map? They've got to find a way to wake up quick.
Yeah, they really do, and you would hope that going to Chalet, them getting to start on the advantageous side of attack, would allow them to maybe get a little bit more momentum going. But, big but here. They're starting on the defensive side. Karn gets attack on Chalet. On their own map choice, they get the strong pick. CLB decided to go to the defensive side, which I don't know. Seth, do you think that might have been a blunder?
I mean, I'm sure they have their own reasons. Maybe in practice or whatever, they're just better on defense on Chalet for whatever reason. But, you know, back to what Jacob mentioned, like, what's the takeaway from that map for CLB? What can they say was the bright spot? It's that it's over, right? Like, that's the only bright spot. It ended. You know, you have to have short memory. If you're Rice, what are you going to sit there and say, well, I had a 4 rating, I can't do any worse? I mean, sure, I guess you could go for the 1 rating and be the worst player of all time.
You can get some TKs in there.
Yeah, I you know, like I said, I know the guys on CLB, a lot of those who follow Pro League are familiar with their players. There are some questions about them and have been about, you know, the mental aspect of things. I think this is actually a really good opportunity for those guys to show that they've grown up a little bit and they've grown, and they can show that they can bounce back from what just happened to them, which is just like shocking to all of us. Even if you're expecting Karn & Co. to win, you still expect it to be close. So, you know, I'm really curious to what's going to happen here, because if they don't bounce back, I could see Karn & Co. just wiping the floor with them again.
It feels like the mentality around this story has now completely shifted. We thought this would be a close, down-the-middle affair, and instead it's turned into a landslide. But, Connor, I feel like the players on CLB, in spite of maybe being good individually, aren't exactly very, very high on the reputation scale, or the perceived reputation scale. There might be some people who think their attitudes, whenever they're down on their laurels, maybe aren't as high as they could be. if they were to come back in this game, if a 7-0 on Skyscraper is something they could wipe off the board and still win this series, what would that say about like the hole they had to dig themselves back out of, and like how quickly they were able to mature on the fly? That would be cool if we saw it happen, right?
That would be absolutely massive for these players, because like Super said, it means that they've grown up and they've matured, and that quick development and a quick turnaround where all of a sudden you take the biggest perceived weakness of some players where, that's like, they know how to shoot. When they're doing good, they do great, but if they aren't, they can't bounce back. All of a sudden you remove that aspect and have a direct showing an example of, hey, but look, they can bounce back. Look at this recent example. You're taking away one of the weaknesses of these teams, and all of a sudden they become so much more attractive to move up to the next level.
So what's it take then? Starting side on Chalet is something I don't even really think you can factor too much into it at this point, Super. When you have a 7-0 loss, and I'm sure you've been in similar situations like this before in best of 3 contexts, what the hell do you do to get like right back in the correct mindset before you even start the second map?
I think if you're CLB, like you said, get out the Men in Black pen and just flash yourself and say, hey, that last map didn't happen. It's now a best of 2, and we got to win both of them.
All right, let's do this bad boy. Is CLB actually going to be able to bring us back into a map 3? Or is that all she wrote? And Karn & Co. will be defending their title. It's Fellow and Crow. Guys, are you recovered from that last map yet? Because I don't think I am yet.
Well, Jacob, we're going to have to be, because Chalet is on the table. Chalet, a huge Karn & Co. map, and one that CLB have banned almost every single game thus far.
Yeah, that little shrug was my reactions information. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if CLB are ready for this, man. And, I originally was going to plan on voting for them as well. Very aggressive team. They all really stand out as solid players given, what teams they've played on in the past and their track record inside of T2 and even T1 to an extent as well. But I mean, man, Karn & Co. they just destroyed them on Skyscraper. And like you mentioned, this is not a lackluster map for Karn & Co. I mean, obviously not. They've played it a bunch, even during Element 1 and now Element 2. They picked it today in this Best 3 series, one of the most important matches they've played in quite a long time. So it's really on the ball. It's really in the momentum now for CLB to try to bounce things back. But they're also no slouches, theoretically, on Chalet as well. I remember it was like, I think Asian's debut game inside of T2. I think you and I were casting it, and it was on Chalet, and that guy dropped like almost 20 kills. I think it was like 18 and 6 on Iana with like the hollow optic, not even running a 1.5. That guy was just so insane back in the day, and he's still a really solid player now. But the CLB we just saw last game is nothing from what we have already seen in like the history of Element 2 and as a whole for them in T2.
Absolutely. From them, as a team and individually as players, that was a shock loss in every sense of the word, every facet. Now we'll see if CLB can bounce back. We're going on a Chalet. This is now Karn & Co.'s map pick, and like I said, Karn & Co. love this map. They haven't played it yet in Element 2, I believe. Osiris, Osiris lost again. I keep forgetting about that Osiris game. I don't know why. That's like wiped my memory. They played it against Osiris. Let me fix my statement. But that's the only time they've played it so far, because every other team has been smart enough to ban it away from them. Pokegame now Wanted Goons banned it. Dilemma banned it. Aerial banned it. Alpha Atheris, even though they spoke Karn & Co., banned it. Because they're a great Chalet team. CLB, on the other hand, have not been willing to play this. They've banned it every game so far. They banned it against AA. They banned it in their best of 3s. So I think they were really banking on winning map 1.
Be one way to put it, for sure. I think for the Osiris game, Harrison, that's like your trauma game. You're just like trying to forget about it.
I don't know why.
It just keeps like returning to your mind.
Like I watched it. I watched the whole game. And I just can't remember it.
I think you're just choosing not to remember it, Harrison.
There's like an SCP mnemonic like preventing me from remembering this thing.
It's just all like dark smoke that fills your mind, unable to recall the past events. It's like amnesia.
Yeah, the big red like redacted pops up in my head.
Yeah, that's classified information. We're not supposed to talk about that. Regardless, Karn & Co. They've got both the Nomad and Capitao here for this top floor. I imagine trying to deal with the Wamai stuck in this library corner. Nomad, maybe not so much, except for like utility burn, perhaps, for the magnets. And then you bring out the Capitao bolts. That's probably the main goal. But you can also use the air jabs just to knock the player prone and then hop in and try to go for a gunfight. That's just, you know, a little less common. You might want to save those air jabs for something else. But here come the smoke bolts, first set of burn. And Gunnar just hopped in off it and killed Spiff. I think I'd take that 1-for-1 trade in all honesty. Sure, you got the Warden to still worry about, but that's your power spot player now dead with really no utility burned, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, a Nomad for Wamai, especially because Gunnar probably had all his
air jabs.
All his air jabs. Yeah, I forgot.
Yep.
The freaking term.
All
his air jabs were probably down. I mean, that's an excellent trade, and you peel away a little bit of that, you know, the layers of the defense upstairs. Wi-Fi on that cutoff is just daring this Chimney player to peek in through. That's Hat, who got the trade on a Gunner after that initial commotion. But since then, Karn & Co. have slowed down a little bit. I mean, they've done well opening that bar stock wall, make sure no one can play there. Asian might be the next point of contact. Does Giddy know? No, he does not. Asian will claim the man advantage now for his team. They're up by 1. Another Dokkaebi call looking to come through from Kixro. If he jumps on in, he's going to have to tussle with Hat. Wi-Fi goes down, trying to make his way through the window. And Karn & Co. once again can't make any headway just yet. Hat with a quick peek will get on by, escaping the sightline of Kixro. Karn's just going to jump on through and can't kill Hat. What a shot from the Warden. Looking for his third. Kixro's the last man standing. And CLB are looking to win their very first round of the series. And that'd be quite a way to bounce back.
Well, Dokkaebi and Warren just jiggle peeking each other. That's an all-time classic. Kixer might be able to find this 1 kill on the Hat, but will that have a major impact on the rest of the round? Probably not. There's just about 15 seconds left. Kixer fully blinds himself, unfortunately, and will now try to drop down below to maybe get a kill or two, perhaps. I'm not really sure. But this looks to be the round set in stone for CLB. A much better start on their opponent's map pick, as they at least got around in the books and will not lose flawlessly, of course. But all things considered, they also did a phenomenal job of just stopping the initial entry from Karn & Co. Sure, Gunnar had won that first opening gunfight against the Wamai, who was playing tucked, but they immediately traded that. And the only other, attacking points that Karn & Co had really went for was like, what, not the office, but the main balc double window leading into Mez. And then that was basically it. They had a lurk downstairs from Giddy, and that also got shut down by Asian because Karn & Co had no info for that basement floor lurk. So there wasn't really a lot done in that round by Karn & Co. And with CLB just playing so well off of each other, that was probably the most, teamwork focused round we've seen by CLB like the entire series so far, because they were actually able to play off of one another and get trades. It didn't give Karn & Co a lot of map control or any, man advantages, which they've had almost like every single game.
At the very least, John, CLB are on the board.
Yippee!
They've done it. They stopped the 7-round streak. Start off with a win. Let's go.
Love to see it.
Rice got a cost point
5 seconds left
for being alive.
It's funny. The opening kill had happened like so fast. I didn't even realize who was on Wamai. I just wrote down the operator name.
It was Spiff.
Yeah, I saw the little like Vod part as well, so I wrote down his actual name. But hey, at least I knew what operator died, right?
Yeah.
and I will know. Besides Donnie, of course, I won't be seeing Bar anytime soon, so let's reopen once again for the defense. And it's a pretty typical extension for the top floor as well, hoping to utilize any vertical in case Karn & Co ignore the top floor. It almost seems like they want to have more of an emphasis on solar and trophy because of where they're positioned currently. You've got the Capitao, who's on the back solar rappel. There's some info already being established inside a trophy room, and they have Habana. So that's range hard breach. You don't typically need range breach if you're going to go in for like an office to fireplace take, because you just run thermite and get a massive opening into both the objective and the top floor of office. But with Habana, it's much easier to play off those window rappels and maybe force back the defense by holding those longer angles in comparison to going direct.
Spiff is going to be our first casualty from Gunnar. Once again, 2 rounds in a row. The opening has been found, only this time, Gunner is not instantly traded back. No refrag from Team CLB just yet, and the Capitao is going to go swing on in, looking for the Fen Mine, gets the cam, and the Dread Mine. Kixro is still alive and is making his headway in through Solar, looking to challenge Hat, but he's dead thanks to the kill holes in Bathroom. Gunner with a second kill, and CLB's top 4 hold is starting to crumble. There's still 2 players up here, though, Asian and Nick. Karn & Co don't necessarily have to force them all the way out. It's kind of like when you're taking from the office side of things and you just open the wall. You don't have to fully take all the way through if you're planning to plant dining. Same thing here. You take Solar, you take Master. That's all you really have to do if your plan is to move in through Kitchen.
Nice shot landed by Asian to at least, soften up the wounds a little bit, I suppose, or soften the blow, pardon. But there's still a lot of time here for Karn & Co, and they're just being very patient, gathering info, establishing where Rice is playing at in the middle of the dining room area. Noticing there's only 1 player on site, they could try to just hit the go button and look to get that diffuse down. The only thing they could be concerned about is someone retaking up above. If they leave 1 guy playing there, shouldn't be a problem.
Wi-Fi will get the kill on a Rice, the only site player up through West Main. Nick gets felled, and Asian's the last man standing. Challenging the Vert, can't win the fight. Gunner with 3, Wi-Fi with 2, and Karn & Co with a very swift response to round number 1.
I always feel like we talk about this one specific point, or at least I do on Chalet. It's the emphasis on outside angles. There's so much that an effective attacking team on Chalet can do just by sitting in the right place on the map, by being outside. There's so many cutoff angles you can gather in this map. I mean, mastered window repel. You've got all of Highway that looks into Bathroom, Piano, looks into Ivy. There's Solar window repel, which is like the primary facet of Karn & Co.'s attack on that round. Gunner finding 2 kills by Highway, that opened up so much more for the rest of his teammates to get in the top floor earlier than you normally see when you do a full clear from the library side of the map going into office because of that utility cluster that's on the top floor. So with them having time to gather more info and also reestablish some vertical, it leaves a lot of weaknesses in CLB, and quite frankly, because they're in a 5 versus 3 deficit, it also stops them from retaking effectively because there's just so many different obstacles that are now being thrown in their way. It's too much to handle. And again, with Karn & Co being a little more patient in the late round because they're successful early round, they gather info and still find ways to isolate the defenders when they're either retaking up West Main or when they're just hunting down the last guy who's on site before they try to plant.
Crowd, you're eating CLB up.
Dude, I know. Usually I'm like bouncing for any team that Asian's on, but not today. Not today.
Yeah, same. Asian, Rice, and Spiff, my boys.
We've been casting those guys since like aggro, or at least Asian, I guess. I can't remember.
Asian was an aggro. Rice was, oh my god, Rice was back on Lycus with Wi-Fi. They're actually ex-teammates.
Oh my god.
Rice and Wi-Fi played on Lycus Empire. Spiff's been around forever too. What was the first team? I can't even remember the first time I casted Spiff on, but yeah, you guys have been around for a long time. Same thing with the guys on Karn & Co. I mean, I've been casting these guys for like 4 years now.
And you've got way more history on this than me. Wow. Nice shot by Nick.
Absolutely. A player who I don't have as much history with since he got picked up from Aqualix more recently in the last couple years of T2. Wi-Fi, I don't really know what the plan was there, buddy. I love you, but that might not have been it. At the very least, Karn & Co get 1 frag back onto Asian, the Legion. But still, that rush to the breach, not what they were looking for. Hat left unchecked and Trophy fells Gunner. Karn & Co are left in a 2 versus 4. Giddy and Kixro. At the very least, Kixro looks to cut off a player in Garage. But Hat doesn't need to move. That's the good thing about being a defender. He's just wasting time. Giddy's looking to come through to pinch. In through vents. All Hat has to do is sit and wait. Even if he dies in this position, his job is done. Nice smoke bolt from Kixro, though, to isolate the wine angle so he can try and challenge, but Giddy goes down. Finally, Hat gets refragged. Can Kixro pull off the magic we saw in map number 1 in that 1v4 clutch with Frost? He's only got a minute to do it. He doesn't have a lot of info. Shield also in his way, and as he pulls out the Gaunt 6, Rice is quick on the trigger. 2-1 now, CLB.
Nick starting off the round for CLB. pretty well by finding 2 opening picks on the open breach. I mean, that's your Thermite dead immediately. Sure, he did his job, but that's most likely your planter in the round, which was the case. Wi-Fi as well, trying to run into connector before he gets killed by Nick. That was just a really big gamble that didn't pay off. And the rest of CLB just played very, passively. The only person who wasn't was Hat, and he was playing above and already got to 1. So that's really not problematic when you're in a 4v2. That's totally acceptable. And he still got a kill in Big Garage as well. So it wasn't even like things turned into a 2v3 and it's like, all right, things are kind of winnable. No, he still got a 1-for-1. Despite the Capitao and Ace trying to work together, he still isolates another and, seals the deal playing in that position. So CLB at least retaking the lead. They'll now go back to Barn Games, where I imagine a little more thought will be distributed by Karn & Co. As the last time they played this site, they just kind of hopped in the building and hoped for the best. I imagine now with more utility-focused operators like Zofia, Ash for both secondary, self-destruction, having a Twitch, Habana, even Flores now, I imagine they'll take things a little more methodically.
Yeah, that was an odd little mini execute we saw from them, because they didn't even fully commit. It was just 2 dudes, and the rest of the team
no presence by Blue at all. So Nick was just like, he had no problems.
The rest of the team was off somewhere else. This is where CLB had a pretty nasty library hold to start the round off. Gunner jumped his way in, immediately was refragged, and then it seemed like Karn & Co. kind of lost their stride. Hit a standstill. Weren't able to do much. Kixro this time looks to go through Office now on the Ash rather than the Capitao. He's going to lead the charge for this roam clear. And this is a much safer way when you're clearing library. Instead of having everybody kind of come from those windows, it's good to have some north side presence too.
Kixro now just about ready to enter in through the building. I imagine they droned out a majority of that bathroom and solar side of the map, but with Asian already by the top of that staircase. Oh yeah, just double checking with the Zofia, and it just catches the tail end of Asian. So they know someone's trying to flank up above. Asian most likely will now try to dart away, as Kixro is currently hunting for this lone defender on the top floor. Only a matter of time for one of them will try to tussle, but I think Asian, yeah, he's just backing off and hopefully trying to waste more time in the late round by not dying.
Does have to be careful though, as we saw Kixro. I thought he was going to keep going for it, especially with the solar cam not spotting him, but maybe someone hopped on after. He decides not to try and chase that kill. Instead of opening up more of these office walls, looking to begin the clear. Hat is going to be the attack's main target right now. He'll be first point. Huddled in the corner, looking through the display glass. Karn & Co. have any info? I don't think there's any drones on him. He's going to be free to start moving around library. The one player that could stop this is Gunner. Still on the double window. Now Hat's positioned himself in sandwich. He could also nab the Zofia. That's Giddy, who's sitting on Ivy window. And Karn & Co. are once again taking things slow and are in a standstill. But there's the drone. That's what they were waiting for. Hat getting a little aggressive, finally goes down. Rice to follow up thanks to Gunner, still positioned in library. He'll make his way through, evade the shots from below. And Karn & Co. finally have their foothold. Asian the next to die, the roamer taken care of. Nick and Spiff, the last members on the site. Fenrir and Wamide, 2 versus 5. Retake attempt coming through from Nick up those blue stairs. Instead, he'll stay static, daring someone to walk down. The Zofia doesn't expect it. That's a freebie for Nick. Looking for more, he'll stay static, but Smith is fighting for his life at the bomb site. Gets one on the car, drops the case, looking for more through the hatch, can't find it. Almost dies, but Nick's got his back! What a trade! Wi-Fi refrags, leaving it on Spiff. 1 HP in a dream with 12 seconds left. It's so winnable if he only kills one of them. There goes Wi-Fi looking for the other, but Gunner makes sure that it doesn't go out of Karn's control. 2-2 is the score now. Close one for CLB, but no cigar.
Great performance by CLB, but it's still closed out from Karn & Co. in the end off of a phenomenal roam clear. I mean, their drone work did not skip a beat. Literally just waiting for the perfect moment. Once they had info established, that's when they took their opportunities to take gunfights. Even though, Kix, for example, didn't work off the info to find that kill on Asian, he still forced away that flank so he can still prioritize the rest of the top floor. I think you mentioned it too, was what, Gunner or Giddy to get that first opening gunfight as well. It was Giddy against Hat when challenging the Warden by box. So that was a much more concise clear by Karn & Co. and a more effective one at that as well, because they actually took their time to figure out where the defenders are playing on that top floor and being able to set themselves up in the map so they can work off of each other and not just have some random guy hop into the building and then just die because no one's there to trade him. That was a much better showing by Karn & Co, and they are still keeping this as close as ever against CLB.
5 seconds
Yeah,
to go.
slow but thorough. Right? Because there's
Yep.
so many times where we see teams like with super slow attacks, and it's slow because they're just not doing anything or can't figure it out. That was slow with a purpose. That's really nice to see, especially after the last series we just
Not
had, which
wasting
had
time,
some.
spending time.
Yeah, especially after the last series, which had some pretty lackluster attacks.
Yeah.
Now CLB go back down to dining, and Karn & Co have made a major change. They've got Carnage B, the big man himself, rocking the Monty. Oh, Kixro might get this kill. Wow, what a reaction from Asian. I thought he was dead meat. Never, you can never doubt this guy's mechanics. Kixro gets smoked, and Asian is free to back way up, happy with the kill on the Iana.
I thought he was getting ready to put down a castle barricade by Piano Double. I was
Me
like,
too.
uh-oh. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, he's got none left. So that's still a nasty shot. And one of the biggest problems with having a Montaigne, if you lose that opening gunfight, is now, theoretically speaking, you're down to 3 guns, making it a 5 versus 3. Sure, you've got more info and maybe the potential to create a lot of space with that shield, but this is like one of the most extensive heavy bomb sites you can play on. So for Karn being on Montaigne here, it's going to be like pulling teeth trying to get inside a piano or work with whatever execute Karn's trying to establish. I imagine he might just try to go direct for a plant perhaps, but of course if they don't clear out the top floor, then vertical's used against them. So this really is kind of a rock in a hard space position now that Kixro is dead and they're down to a lot of bodies for guns.
He gets 1 through the wall, but 2 of his teammates have fallen, and look who's left. Well,
Okay.
look who was left. Karn & Co gets frost matted. It's all down to Giddy on the Ash. Unable to kill the frost just yet. He takes quite a beating. And look at the defender starting to hunt him down. 1 HP in a dream. How many times have we said that today?
Not the first time.
I mean,
Probably not the last.
not a minute left. Oh, all right, I'm on.
Yeah. Nope. Just kidding. And that CLB back in the lead. This has really been a constant back and forth so far in this first half. So a much better showing by CLB, obviously. But more specifically, yeah, Karn & Co just, I don't know, maybe not expecting the same kind of aggression that CLB have been willing to show off a couple of times, or just not being in the right positions to confront that. I think the Montaigne was kind of a blunder again because Karn just, not much was done there for Karn. You have to, before the Montaigne really becomes effective for that bomb site, you've got to clear out so much of that top floor. And of course, with Kixro dying very early, nobody was there to trade him. And again, not a lot of other pressure being put down on the map, which kind of allows CLB to play a lot farther back, use those long horizontal angles. So not only does that, minimize Karn's use in the round, but also because, again, Kixo died, it's a really tough spot for Karn & Co to be in as a whole. And now we go back to Barn Games, which has been currently a coin toss so far between both teams. Karn & Co got really aggressive one round, and it kind of went down the drain. Then they had a more methodical approach and did much better against CLB. And the defensive side, I don't think really much has changed on their lineup, Harrison, besides, I don't know, maybe the reintroduction of Fenrir. I think that's the only difference. No, they had that last time too. I'm not sure what's really different on their lineup. I know that Cabot's back in the day, so that's the one standout op so far for Karn & Co, at least on their side.
The one difference for the defense is mute. They do not have mute.
Okay.
Bryce was playing Legion both times. They tried to
Gotcha.
defend Bar. So now they've got mute. They've got some more drone denial. I think that's smart. When Karn & Co slowed down in round 4, their drone work was impeccable. More drone work coming out. Spotting Spiff in the corner by Pot. He is Wamai, so they can't just send the Capital bolts in. They've got to make sure they've got some utility going through to burn. And very quickly, as soon as those flashbangs come out, Spiff is going to decide to back on off. Doesn't want to give a free pick away to Karn & Co. Fire comes out. It's wasted. Karn & Co did not confirm whether or not he had left, so that's a bit of utility now gone.
Some more info, just for good measure. We did see the Solus attempt to flank up Solar last time, so it's better to, waste a couple of seconds and make sure no one's playing there rather than having someone die in the final minute or so. As you still have, of course, like you mentioned, that extension up above that hasn't been fully flushed out just yet like Karn and Co. But we've seen them take their time for this objective specifically, so it's not a big deal as of right now, so long as they can still establish that entry game once it's officially set up for the perfect moment. Or maybe just waiting for the Warden to get a bit over aggressive. Spots the barrel of him and even his head for a split moment. Ooh. But Spiff across the map be the first player to find that opening, and as Hat re-aggresses, Gunner will win that fight via a pre-fire, so we're still tied off. That's the Hibana dead, so some of these angles might be a little more challenging to deal with, but I'd say given the Mez player's already dead, probably not.
If those hatches are reinforced, though, that could be trouble not having the Hibana.
Oh, God,
what is that sound?
That's the Wamai bug. You remember this?
Oh, yeah. So like a suction noise?
Yeah.
Well, Giddy's gonna... Well, yeah, never mind. I was gonna try and segue that. I can't say that. Giddy's gonna...
I'm glad you had second thoughts.
Giddy's gonna get the headshot on Nick, and it's 2 for Kixero, hiding on the blue stairs. 1v4 for Rice. He's got to lock in after the 4 rating on the last map. He's got 4 bodies to find, and he won't even find 1. Wi-Fi threads the needle after coming in through lobby, and we end the half even, 3-3.
I mean, on the defensive side of Chalet, that's not bad. Some consider this map still a little more attacker favored, despite a lot of operators right now being strong. On the defensive side, excuse me. But this is kind of like I would say this is still pretty winnable for CLB, all things considered, so long as they just, have more improvements on their attacking side. It's kind of hard to talk about their attacks because we saw literally 1 round of them attacking, but usually they're able to work off of their info pretty well and then have someone who's kind of, just having a sparky game. Almost any of these players can pop off when needed to. We obviously didn't see that on Skyscraper. There was a lot more cohesion on their defensive side, so hopefully, now having these same extensions turned against them, they can find that same strut. But they got to deal with dining room and kitchen, which is probably one of the more just annoying bomb sites to clear out, because how much stuff you can dump into this top floor, and almost no matter what take your opponents are going for, they have to clear it out.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
You know how we were just talking about how Karn's got that dog in him? He went 8-3 last match.
Yeah, well, this is it's like karma, right? Yeah,
He used up
really
all
well.
his chakra.
Thank you. He gets it.
Yeah. Ozzy Karn can turn up on the defense.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Exactly. He's gonna go. Well, what was he? He was plus 5. If he ends this map -5, if he ends this map -5, he'll go dead even. That'd be pretty.
What if Karn just hides in a corner like every round?
Every round he just goes like 0-5 for the rest of the game.
I see the vision.
Perhaps.
It's for the
culture. Run.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
I could see that. Well, for now we will just see CLB do kind of the typical Chalet attacking style, which is getting outside angles. Having these nice cutoff angles to make Karn a little more vulnerable to opening deaths. But right now, it doesn't seem to be too problematic. I mean, Giddy's probably just waiting for someone to kind of push in through library. Because there's no one opening up the office wall, he can sit here, no questions asked. Wondering if it'll be Rice's job to get some of that office wall opened up, since he's not over by Solar. And they also have the Ace, but it's actually jammed. So they're going to have to get some sort of utility over on that side of the map to deal with it. And I think it just got shot through maybe the library wall, perhaps, by Ivy. Or someone else just came in to destroy. I'm not too sure. But either way, the wall still gets opened up. And I guess it'll be Rice's job to get the main breach down below, since Hat has already used 2 Selmas on that office wall.
That's step number 1 complete. Always a little bit confused as to why teams like to run the Hibana here rather than the Thermite. But Thermite is impact trickable. It's kind of the trade-off, whereas, Thermite you can impact trick, but you get a much better hole and a much easier avenue into the bomb site, whereas with the Hibana, you can impact trick, but very hard to get in. Flores will be our first casualty, as it's Giddy with the opening pick. Gunner getting, wow, found by Hat. That is an impressive angle. But unfortunately, he gets rewarded with the death because, 4 versus 3 as CLB now start to make their way in through office. Wi-Fi lands a nice shot on the Rice, looking for the man on Rappel 2. Spiff almost exposed. Asian tries to work his way in. Giddy a second kill. And Spiff is left to think about the mistakes his team has made. Nope, never mind. He doesn't even get a chance to think. Kickstro fries him off the window, and CLB get denied their impromptu tack timeout. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that was insane. But we mentioned cutoff angles a couple of times, and obviously CLB had quite a few to their name when going for that full top 4 clear. But the one that they really forgot about, that's almost the most important one if you're doing a full clear of that top floor, is either solar window or trophy window. That way you have someone putting pressure on the players that are holding really long angles once you actually enter into office, when you either get the wall opened up or have the door opened by office valve. With there not being really any pressure on those players and there still being a lot of info via the bulletproof cameras and people just spotting attackers entering the building, it's a pretty straightforward, just shots landed, and Karn & Co. flatline the roam clear by CLB. And the rest of their outside angles just didn't mean anything at that point, since they couldn't cut off the defenders before they won their gunfights. So we're not going to see Dining Room for quite some time after that, I imagine. And then Master will now be in play, which I gotta admit, this is kind of like a toss-up site. I remember back when Chalet first came into comp, it was like a fairly popular tertiary pick. Then everyone kind of turned against it. They went towards Snowmobile for a long time because you could use the whole map to your advantage as a roamer. And now it's back in play. And we almost saw a nice play by Wi-Fi getting rid of Hat, but gonna miss some narrow shots and keep Frost or Karn Twitch alive. So
I respect it. I respect the attempt.
it was close.
Wanted to knock them on their heels a little bit. I would have been Hat too, who, as we've mentioned multiple times, is one of the best players in the league. So that'd have been a great pick to have. Gunner, another one of the best players in the league, does eat a lot of damage. I think going for an aggressive swing by Garage and Snowmobile. He's cut down to about 20 HP, blinking red. Oh my god, is he going to get aggro again? Wait, is there someone? Okay, no, I thought they were in trophy already. Now they are.
Hard away. Can't really blame him for that. Wasting a lot of time still being a live threat currently. Could even hop out from a trench door, Harrison, too, because he's got the soul scanner to detect those claymores. And again, Master Window, one of the most common cutoffs on this map. We just saw the Zofia of Spiff place one of those mentioned claymores. But yeah, it looks like CLB will just try to waste more time gathering info, just making sure they know where Gunner is. But so far, they haven't spotted this guy.
Giddy eating tons of damage from, I believe, a firebolt from Rice is what it looks like. That did a lot. Wow, I don't know, about 50. Now he's got to try and tussle with these players taking in through Solar. Karn is the first player to hit the floor, but he's not finished off just yet. Oh, Giddy almost sees the head. Such a small angle to play around, but he's stuck in this corner. There's really nothing he can do. All right, never mind. He's allowed out. What an escape, and Karn has been rezzed. Despite all the effort from CLB, they still can't find a pick, and time is dwindling. There's about a minute left. At the very least, they've made their way into Solar, so they've got a foothold to start mounting this execute.
Run unattempted, but it's going to fall on deaf ears as now the Twitch will begin this charge inside of Bathroom. So far, no defender to spot just yet, but they're just moments away from engaging against the Jaeger. There's Nick to win the first confrontation, Hat to follow suit, but it's a quick response by Karn & Co. to keep us even right now. But CLB respond once again with more power and the chance of getting this diffuser down, but it's just one player left to cover, and that being Asian. Kicks will now rotate, maybe catch this Ash by surprise. Diffuser goes down. They've got info as to where this player is currently. And it's just a 1 versus 1. Rice damaged up, but he still gets at a Master. Looking to rotate. It's a tough spot now for Kicksor to be in. He's got the timer against him and not a lot of info to work off of. He's got some natural cover because of that bomb chassis. And Rice, once again, one shot away from falling. This is still winnable. And he spots the gun barrel. He just has to pre-fire. It's another quad clutch for Kickstro. History repeating itself. It's 5-3 for Karn & Co. as they have a flawless retake once again.
You gotta be kidding me. Another one for Kickstro. Wow. Beautifully played. Just beautiful. Killing the player in Bathroom. Sneaking up on the Ash. The reaction from the Ash was a bit late, but he finally turns around and Kickstro wins the fight anyway, and then tracking down Rice. That was just not a good corner to sit in with the barrel sticking out.
You're just the best.
Oh my god! If this guy's not in Pro League, bro, if this guy's not in Pro League, I'm gonna hang myself.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I mean, I want to.
I love Wi-Fi, dude.
Did he just did
Wi-Fi's
Wi-Fi
so
just
funny.
manifest Kickstarter to get to Pro League now?
He might have.
Left.
He might have.
Yeah.
Dude, that was such a
I don't wanna-
crazy thing to say.
5 seconds to go.
Holy crap.
Attackers are moving.
I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless. Like,
Door barricaded.
I gotta let that marinate, bro. That is just. I thought the interview that we had earlier, I thought that was the highlight of the day. Nah, bro. Somehow Wi-Fi just trumped that. That is insane.
The trash talk he had in the first clutch on Sky 2 was
Dude,
was
how
immaculate.
The two replay comms that we get when Kickstar wins a clutch, it's just some like insane statement made by Wi-Fi. Both times.
And now Karn and Co are up 5-3, and they are
Yep.
feeling good. 2 defenses in a row. A spectator bug for us. Oh. We had it for a sec. Hold on. Hold on, folks. There we go. We're back. We are so back.
Yeah.
We've never been more back.
We are so Barack. It's not Jover just yet, guys. Can assure y'all that.
CLB turning their attention towards library as most attacks onto this site start. There was a run out from somebody. I don't know where that was, but they haven't been punished. You got the Flores, the Capitao, the Hibana, all the utility you need for a good library take, confirming there is no one pot. They really just have to worry about this guy Chimney, and then Carnage B, who's currently backing off towards the blue stairs. It's a pretty light hold, all things considered, especially what we saw from CLB. We see 3, sometimes even 4 guys helping out this top floor position. Karn and Co spread themselves out just a little bit more. More people upstairs, a little horizontal. I believe there's a defender in dining, and Wi-Fi, his position getting exposed, but he's got support. I believe that's Karn from blue, shooting off those X-Kairos and making sure this wall stays full.
Paradrone being sent out, the final one at Nick's disposal. Maybe using it to force away this player behind Mez, but Giddy on a hop out shuts down Spiff. There's the aggression that we've seen attempted by CLB before, but it's not as successful. Karn and Co will hold on for just a bit longer, but the top floor has been cleared out fully by CLB. They just have to worry about the first floor players. Giddy returning back to site, and Kicksrow still by the 45 hallway, but Rice through the open hatch shuts down the Solus. That leaves just Kicksrow now in a 1 versus 3. Rice has already been damaged from a previous engagement, so it's not that bad, but the offense has info. They know they can hop into sight and force this plant with the help of that hatch presence. That's got to be Rice to get that diffuser down. There's no one on the hatch anymore. What? And it's a 1 versus 1, but does he know about Mudroom? No, he doesn't! Nick on the rotate, despite the Fed mine giving away his position. The Malusi was too tunnel visioned and loses because of that, and CLB make it just a little bit closer going in around 10.
Can you imagine if he had 2 in a row there?
Oh my
wow.
God.
All it took was maybe a little bit more sound. Maybe the comms were flooded. But either way, what an attempt from Kickstrow. CLB narrowly lock it down. That was way too close for comfort. But nevertheless, it's their first attacking victory in the new half. Also, Karn is 0-7.
No, my king. Where is his crown? It's missing.
He's -2 on the series now.
Does that mean
Karn lock in?
Does that mean we'll see a Karn 1v2 clutch to go back to even?
Yeah, maybe.
Dude, I see the vision. Remember he got that 4K on Chalet to clutch that one time as Thermite?
Oh, yeah, wasn't that when Shu was filling in?
that?
I think that
might
was
have
when
been.
Shu filled in.
5 seconds left.
I don't. Okay, I don't know about that one, but I only remember the Karn like 1v4. I might have been watching it or
It
something
was
on
with
Twitch.
Frost. Oh, no. He had 2.
There was another one?
Yeah, he had one with Frost, where I think he
God.
like 1v4'd Aced or something. Like, it was freaking crazy. That may have been the one with, I think, Shu subbing in.
Okay. Yeah, other than Clubhouse, this is
On the
like
other team.
Karn's
On the other
like
team.
clutch map. Gotcha. Okay. Now I see why.
Yeah, I think
Sense.
Shu was subbing in for Nocturnes, I'm pretty sure it was. And then I think Karn hit a nasty clutch, but Kickstrow's already got the one nasty clutch that we've, one for each map. so far. Karn still lead 5-4. Team CLB are going to bring us something a little different. They've got Fuse. They'll be looking to take in through lobby. Have Spiff start using his util. If you use it from heaven, it's actually really good because the first charges will destroy the floor and the second go all the way through, and it's so far down that the detonation timer is really quick and you can get some easy kills should anyone be sitting underneath. But of course that does require Spiff to get in and be allowed to use his utility first of all. Karn & Co. were challenging, but it looks like they've since fallen off. Everybody except 2 back on the bomb site. Where are the other 2? Oh, ooh, they're all the way over there.
Well, the track stingers can provide some, coverage while Spiff does his job up above. Funny enough, when he was on a Strauss, I think this was like the strat that was coined during SI, so kind of funny to see him still, having the old habits that he did almost a year ago at this point. Selma charges going off. That could maybe allow the hatch to get opened up. But he just snaked up blue. He just snaked his way up blue stairs and goes all the way back down below after he gets his kill. And that's on the ace. So it's just Thermite left for hard breach. I don't think they got any of the walls down below opened up, so they have to fully commit to maybe getting snow opened up with Rice's Thermite. And if he only had one Selma deployed on the hatch, that also means he has to use the other one on that side of the map as well. That is a really unfortunate loss.
I do think Hat, at the very least, he was able to get the con hatch open, so he did something. Here come the fuses. As you can see, the first break the floor, the second go through, clearing out positions, and more importantly, destroying util. Anything that they had is now gone. Likely that thorn shield fell, and Karn is stuck in the corner somehow. He's still alive. Breach going down. Karn, you can stop it. Oh no, he's too late. The wall gets opened, but CLB are floundering. Rice is dead. It's all down to Asian. Stuck in a fear mine. Still able to kill Gunner nonetheless, but Karn shuts him down. And Karn & Co. take map and match point.
Funny enough, Harrison, it's the 2K by Carnage Basketball to go back to even. We called it. We literally saw the vision right there, Harrison. And funny enough, because of that cluster charge not killing Karn, although he messed up his, little Zoto canister trick to stop the wall from being opened up, the Thermite didn't know he was there. He's like, oh, it got cleared up by a fuse charge. I'm good to walk in and plant default. What's the worst that could happen? I'll tell you what's the worst that could happen. It's the GOAT of T2. He's waiting for you. And he just killed your friggin' teammate.
I wonder if, because the Tuberao didn't work, maybe Rice was
and
like,
it got blown up by the Thermite charge.
Yeah, I wonder
right.
if Rice was maybe like, oh, it must be cleared, because otherwise he would have stopped the wall. So maybe messing up there actually worked out and paid dividends for Karn.
I think in a roundabout way, it worked out better than previously anticipated. That's a guaranteed. And yeah, I think because that's Case player dead and the guy main stairs was shut down, that probably was a better outcome than having Thermite rotate. He could have maybe picked up his teammate, then they plant behind the filing cabinet. They kill the Tuberao. Yeah, that could have been a way more difficult round for Karn & Co. to win. But unfortunately, due to a frame bug issue, we'll be in a bit of a unfortunate paradox as of right now. But this is a really tough spot for CLB to be in, Harrison. We're going back to kitchen and dining, which was just like, that was such a challenging round for CLB. They wanted to fully commit to that top floor clear and got no value out of it. So I'm hoping they keep things a little more simplistic going into this clear, because if not, I mean, that's wraps for CLB. That's just it.
I hope there's more, of those cutoffs. You talked about how good the outside play is when it comes to this map, and even Skyscraper, right? Maps like Sky, Chalet, Border, there's so much you can do from the outside, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of that from CLB just yet. It was certainly missing on Skyscraper. We haven't seen it too much on Chalet. They were missing a lot of those cutoffs. That's a big reason why they weren't able to find anything on that roam, right? Giddy was able to just kind of hang out in bathroom and kill 2 people. So hopefully CLB know what needs to be fixed, and hopefully Gunner gets back soon. Looking at the operator lineup right now, though, Karn & Co. are bringing something new as well. Wi-Fi is hovering the Echo. I mean, he's confirmed it. He's got that little check mark in the corner. So as long as he doesn't change, he'll be playing Echo. I wonder if Karn & Co. are seeing, CLB took so long on that dining, like that upstairs clear on dining, that, as Wi-Fi, I don't need Jaeger. They barely cleared anything anyway. So I might as well, sit back on the site, maybe even rotate to the basement later in the round because CLB took so long. Either we, A, win just because they can't clear upstairs, or B, they take so long by the time they got on a site, I'm just going to win the round for free.
Castle being played once again. Kind of a requirement for a lot of different bomb sites for this map. Especially when you have all these outside windows to worry about. I'd say for both Master and Dining, you almost always want to play Castle. So that's kind of like, that's half the you got to worry about now with this one operator. And yeah, it's mainly just used to stop all those choke points that we talk about, like Highway, Balcony, Master Window Repel. Stops all these positions from being really effective or just, more thought being needed before committing to those parts of the map. But CLB, they don't have any vertical operators, really. They've got Nick for some utility clear with the Rotero drones. Again, I would kind of hope that maybe CLB just go a little more direct and just have somebody hold like a longer angle looking at open breach by office and just try to commit more for a site plant. But now that Echo's in play, might be a little more challenging to do that. So it's kind of a coin flip. Take it as you will, which is whether we see the lesser of two evils. If they go more direct, they might need to just worry about the yokais, or if they fully commit again and maybe lose one too many bodies.
I do like that, CLV are starting to bring some new things. I like the Grim pick from Hat to help start flush things out. I don't know if I really understand the Thatcher pick. I mean, maybe you can catch some of those Wamai discs, but or jammers. Otherwise, I don't think he's terribly necessary. But either way, no matter what, it's never going to be a detriment. It's going to make your life easier. They'll be starting their top floor clear. They made their way in through Library, started to trickle in through Ivy. Hat's opening that office door, and this is where we begin to see that mounting clear. Wall getting open for Rice. Not going to use 2 this time. Probably going to relegate the other 2 to opening up this dining wall, as there is no second hard breacher. There's no Hibana this time, so he's got to use all of it. Instead, no, okay, he'll hang on to one, I guess, for a rainy day.
Never know, you might need one. Be a great bartering tool, perhaps, later on.
He's got to make vert.
It's real. Oh no, and Nick is dead. It's an unfortunate start for CLB. The floor has gone, and your top performer in the match as of right now is off the board. And Karn and Co are still holding strong on this top floor. Breaching charge deployed by Asian, forcing back the Mamai just for a brief moment. And the Grimbees being deployed as well, forcing off the entirety of that roam and almost ending a refract for CLB, but Kixrow narrowly survives. But Asian finds a different opportunity by getting rid of the Frost still lingering on that top floor. Now they've officially cleared out that entire top floor. They might not know it just yet, but it's a matter of fact that Karn and Co have given away that second floor and have fallen back a bit closer towards Trophy and the bomb site. Maybe allowing CLB to rotate now in these final 50 seconds. But as I just mentioned, they don't have a lot of time to get this ball rolling, Harrison.
This is crazy from Giddy. Trying to open up floor holes to challenge the Grim as he's walking down. Solar almost finds the head, but Hat evades the shots for now. At the very least, it is going to delay the attack a little bit. They've wasted a few seconds worrying about Giddy, and he'll try to rotate up main stairs, but in the meantime, site players are starting to fall. Carnage B is dead. He's back to -1. No, my king. But his team might come out on top with 20 seconds left. The strategy looking like it's going to work out perfectly. 15 seconds now, and the Yokais are still up, but they might be in the wrong site. Here's the first one as Kixrow fells Asian. First blast goes out. Rice has to look up and shoot it. Now there's no time left. The other one's upstairs, but it's stopped by the lip of the wall. No! Wi-Fi can't get it through. The plank goes down, and his team falls. An unfortunate misplay means that Wi-Fi, instead of winning by virtue of the clock and an ultrasonic blast, is going to have to 1v3 with his gun. Spiff, the first to fall. 2 more to find. Wi-Fi knows that they're still upstairs. He's going to be forced to retake, but this is going to take a while. He'll have to be as quick as humanly possible, and CLB are aware of that. They've left one up, sent the other back down, and the one upstairs is still outside. Wi-Fi's got no idea, and CLB keep themselves alive for another round.
Unfortunate there with the Yokai, but I'm glad CLB did not take that opportunity for granted as well, Harrison. So much passivity by both the Ace and Grim during that 1 versus 2, and now attack timeout being called by CLB, or actually no, Karn and Co, sorry, try to lock in this regulation win.
Pretty well, right? What do you want to do here?
All right, listen,
No,
you guys.
they won bar pretty
hold on.
easily.
First things first, you guys are moving around like crazy, bro. You guys gotta stop fucking around so much. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think we look go master and we run a Rooney Wamai setup on Solar Stairs and have Solus play in fucking in kitchen, bro. I think we honestly do that, bro.
Give them library?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, they're not taking it.
Bring a Rooney fucking Wamai. Have Wamai play Solar Stairs and then just have the Solus play inside dining, bro, and just reinforce like dining walls. I literally think we should literally just be doing that. Make them actually clear Solar.
All right, can we fit a fender in for basement?
I think we should
Like
show.
for the West and shit.
Yeah, we definitely can. I mean,
we
we
should
need.
show presence.
I mean, yeah, we can have like the Solus serve there or something, but like we can still use the Solus. If they do end up pushing library, we can have the Solus from below that can literally help deny like half-full plan. Like we'll be able to use that. We can use the Solus to our advantage.
Yeah,
We just
I like that.
move people around. I think we should do it. Just make them.
I'll
make
play
them do
on the
something.
stairs, Sean. Just play lower.
Yeah.
I mean, are you on fender originally? Like, what?
Yeah.
All right, just stick that, and then
Just make them do something, boys. Make them clear.
Honestly,
Like, that's all you need to do, bro.
Let me.
All right, they got a plan. That was solid.
I mean, hey, they're bringing
Ooh.
Fender. That's like half the battle.
Something
I'm
I
gonna go
didn't hear was the Mira.
Yeah,
Attackers
I
need to locate and defuse
didn't think we had
bombs.
that checked over, but they did run Mira last time defending Master, so I
That's
guess that
true,
makes
they
sense.
did.
Although it wasn't like a pivotal point to their defensive hold. I think it was again like Kixro winning a like a 1v2, 1v3 clutch and got a 4K on that round. That was like the big outline of the round in particular. But the mirror window definitely did help create a bit more space for Karn and Co. All things considered. I do like the Fenrir change. Again, CLB, kind of more of an aggressive team. They've had some isolated moments, so maybe using the Dread Mines to stop that is a good motion. Or notion, sorry, not
10
motion.
seconds to go.
And Gunner as well back on Silas. He might have not. I don't think he found like a kill playing down below, but he wasted a lot of time and crippled the drone economy, which, speaking of drones, Harrison, there's like, I thought there was only, I thought there was 4 destroyed. I guess it was just 3. Yeah, just 3 destroyed. It was a bit of a visual bug in the upper left. But still, getting 3 drones in the prep phase, that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's
Pretty good.
That's pretty good, especially if you're going to have that Solus roaming downstairs. If CLB choose to clear her, they're going to have even less drones for sight now. That's a pretty good start just based off of the info denial. Karn & Co., the only real switch-up they've got in terms of operators from the last time they defended this site is they swapped Jaeger for now a Rooney, which is what, there's also the Jaeger was the one Carnage was playing. So everyone else remaining the same. Mira might pose an issue for CLB, placed in library, but as we heard, CLB are just kind of going to show presence, not challenge it too hard. I'm sure as soon as this player starts to feel pressure, they're going to fall back, just be happy with wasting time and wasting drones.
So having this Mira by Mezzanine looking in a library does cut off a pretty big portion of the map from CLB's pool. They could, of course, have someone go off a Spalk, maybe try to challenge them, of course, but instead it might be more utility-focused for the blue staircase to help assist against that Mezzanine player. They still have to worry, of course, about Gunner, who's playing down below, so if there's any info about someone maybe getting pressure established by blue, he could walk up there, for example, but I guess Hat is going to hop in through this window underneath main stairs and try to just run at the Fenrir. Let him cook, I guess, but he spots him a little early on, and no! Kixro wins it! We saw the vision, but Hat was blinded by it. And that's an unfortunate start for CLB once again.
Man, that could have been really cool. Have Hat send himself in as the Fenrir starts to drop, but they just mistimed it a little bit. Kixro was already on the floor and was in a position to take the fight against Hat, who looked like he didn't know if he wanted to re-engage or not. Now you've lost Amaru, not the biggest utility pick in the world, but it is Hat. And that means that Fenrir is still lurking downstairs. Giddy will make matters worse. The kill on to Nick. Now it's a 5v3, 5v2. Asian with the first kill for his team. He kills the Mira. So low. So much punishment was dealt. And Kixro's lurking on the blue stairs. Rice is going to have to go on the hunt and get this kill. But he wins! Finally, he chases him down. 3v2. It's still winnable. Asian's deep in the bomb site, but he can't get ahead of himself.
The attacker's bomb
His job
diffuser
is going to
has
be to
been
try
dropped.
and bait the defense into him while Rice goes for the plant. But Karn & Co. have Solus. Gunner
Attackers
saw the
recovered
case.
bomb diffuser.
Knows it's outside of the bomb site. He's going to try the impact anyway. He's getting pings. There's so much info for Karn & Co. They know where Asian's at. It's all down to Rice in a 1v2. And he's going to be forced to plant very soon. 7 seconds left. The plant now starting.
seconds to go.
Wi-Fi and Karn begin to make their move. In comes the team captain, knows he got to wait for the pinch, and down goes Rice. Karn and Co. eliminate CLB and prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, they belong in grand finals. Slow start be damned.
The best team in Element 2 currently versus the reigning champs of Element 1. That's a grand final I'm looking forward to tomorrow, Harrison, after we saw a stomping by Karn & Co. against CLB, a new up-and-coming team from players that have been around the block for oh so long at this point in both Pro League and Semi-Pro League. And then the newcomers as well by Envy having a beautiful showing to close out their match as well against SSG ACAD. We had a phenomenal semifinals, Harrison, and like I just mentioned earlier, tomorrow is looking to be a phenomenal showing as well. This is crazy storyline-wise.
Absolutely. Karn & Co., they get their shot. Unfortunately for Slimy Nick, couldn't get his revenge. He's not going to be able to go back-to-back, but 3 of those Karn & Co. members, I'm sure, are incredibly excited to go up against Envy. That's it for the series. That's it for you and me, John, today. But of course, we still got to go back to the desk one more time before we close it out.
Thank you, gentlemen, for Wi-Fi Kicks and for the king himself, and Mossy, I suppose, as well. It is a glorious day. The opportunity to defend a title really only comes up once in a while, and Karn & Co. have proven that there is nobody better than them in the circuit, regardless of what portion of the bracket they happen to worm their way into. Until further notice, Karn is still king, and they will have one more opportunity to defend in the grand final of Element 2. Connor, Seth, talk to me about what you saw in this game, other than just Karn & Co. domination from the gas pedal going down.
Yeah, you know, we talked about before the match that I think for Karn & Co. to kind of be able to take this one, they needed some of their players to step up. We had Karn outperforming his kill total by miles on that map 1. And map 2, he comes back to reality a little bit, but then Gunner steps up and basically, you know, kind of sets the tone for the map. Kixro played out of his mind the entire match here. Kind of reminded me of Element 1, where Kixro and Packer in the playoffs really put Karn & Co. on their back. And I don't know what it is about these Element playoffs, but it seems like when, you know, the lights shine brightest, Kixro shows up. And I think this has to be kind of like an alarm sounding for some of those pro teams that maybe are going to make some moves, as Kixro has now done this in back-to-back Element series where when the matches really matter, he kind of takes over and shows that. And a match like this, a match like the one in Element 1 against GGG, he's playing all former pro players. He's better than they are, right? He's like literally dominating the games. That has to mean something. And, you know, I think a lot of pro teams could take note of what's happening here.
And I think for Kixro as well, the most interesting and most impressive thing is the wide variety of operators and roles that we've seen him play and fill on multiple iterations of teams. I've seen him play Breach for entire stages and do well. He's playing Flex. He's even picked up Entry sometimes as the first person in the building, and it seems like he just does it all. And for Karn & Co., when you have a Swiss Army knife like that in conjunction with somebody like Gunner, who's just gonna, you know exactly what Gunner's gonna do. He's gonna get in the building fast, get you some ground, either pop off or immediately die, whatever. He takes ground. Giddy, great supporting flex player like always. Wi-Fi, he's been so incredibly consistent, all with the shot calling of Carnage B. And at the end of the day, everybody on CLB were also phenomenal players. They stepped up when they needed to, but just not to the level of Karn & Co.
And the best part about it is they didn't allow a 7-0 lead to get to their heads. Even if the second map was considerably closer, everything still came to head on Chalet. Let's talk to Gunner real quick, who has to be feeling good about the way that this whole series has transpired. Dude, you and I haven't had the chance to talk since Atlanta, and even then it was only for a second. A lot of things have changed for you. I certainly hope everything is going well, but talk to me about what's going through your head right now after making another grand final.
I mean, after like a year of top fours, I mean, it's not Pro League, but it's a grand final, I guess. So pretty cool.
What's it like playing with these guys? I was curious if how much culture shock you probably had to be going through playing with a team that was going to lands consistently. Not to say playing with Karn and the guys is a bad thing, but for you, it has to be a bit of a mental shift, yeah?
Oh no, it was really weird. I mean, like D2 feels like an entirely different game. But like, I mean, I adjusted and really fun. Just kind of. It's just 5 people like running around shooting each other, so it's, you know, it's not like you don't really got to problem solve all too much in T2. You kind of just they just swing you. But I don't know. It's fun.
You feel like it's a better overall use for your playstyle, you think? Are you having to hold back nearly as much as you were on Sonics, or how are you feeling playing with these guys?
Oh, I mean, I'm having a blast. Like, I just get to play whatever I want, really. They're just like, all right, go kill them. All right, let's go. Like, bet.
Fair. So far, everything pointed towards CLB being one of the tournament favorites because they were 3-0 in Swiss. They hadn't lost a map coming into this series. It was a big juggernaut for you guys to knock off specifically, and there were some people that had questions because there were a couple of teams that you hadn't been able to either beat or were having close games with coming into this portion of this. Now you've knocked them off. What's it like to beat a team like that had so much experience backing them?
I mean, I don't know. Like, they're a good team, but I mean, like, they weren't anything spectacular. Like, they had some shooters, but like, I had a harder time playing against like Osiris and like the one at Goons. Like, I'm not even being that to shade. It's just like the teams, like, some days are having a good days and some days are like trash.
Is what it is, man. So for you, obviously, the story feels like it writes itself. Coming from Tier 1 back to Tier 2, looking to try to win. For everybody else on that team, because most of them have won a Tier 2 tournament just prior, only a couple of months ago, what's it mean for you to be able to play with these guys and try to win again?
I mean, it's really cool. Like, I wasn't even going to be on the team. I DM'd Karn when I found out that I was benched from Sonics. And, well, I DM'd like every E2 team. And I got told no by like literally everyone. And then like a day before, Karn's like, yo, we got an emergency. Can you play for us? And then 2 days later, I was playing against like one of Goons. And they were running Blitz. It was crazy. It was just insane, but it's fun.
You've got Envy coming up tomorrow. It's not the first time you'll be exposed to a best of 5. I'm sure that's something that you can probably help bring a little bit of experience to for this team. But it's Envy, and it's a team of guys who've never, ever gotten to a stage nearly as prestigious as this one. What do you think about your opponents coming into tomorrow?
I mean, they're a good team. But I think we'll win. I think we're just a more complete team. I think they just got some shooters, but I think we'll win.
All right, dude. I love the confidence, and I love how short that was. Anything else you want to say before we let you go, dude?
You know, thank you to everyone who supports us and like everyone who supported me even like after you know, all the stuff that's happened, and hopefully I can win a U2 final.
Good stuff, man. Congratulations again on the win, and we'll see you in the grand final tomorrow.
See ya. Thank you.
Everything for Karn & Co. is going the way the storybook drew it up. They now have a chance to defend their title tomorrow in the grand final. Connor, somebody had to defend it. It was either Nick or it was 3 players on Karn & Co. and their analyst, and the majority won here.
Yeah, the majority usually wins, and one thing like I just had click in my mind where Gunnar was like, yeah, I could finally win a T2. He did skip Challenger League to go directly into Pro League, so it would be kind of like poetic to be like, yeah, you know, I didn't necessarily skip it. I just went out of order in the typical progression.
Yeah, you look at these stats, and I mean, to be honest, this is utter domination from Karn & Co. Gunnar was their worst performing player today when coming into this match. He had 12 kills in this match. Coming into this match, I think we had seen him drop double digits on basically every map they played, and they still were able to dominate this into a 14-5 round count. I think that's very scary heading into tomorrow for Envy. On the side of CLB, obviously this is, I'm sure, a disappointment for them. I think they play this to win, but you look at that and you know the stats they put up here, and I don't know if it's an off day or what, but they didn't deserve to win. Like, they utterly got dominated. Kixro sporting almost a 3-1 KD. Like, I think this is a wake-up call maybe to the guys on CLB of, hey, there are some T2 guys who are maybe better than you or even on that level where I don't know if they thought this was going to be a cakewalk. Then on the side of Karn & Co., I hope they should have been sending signals last Element 1 to a lot of pro teams or orgs saying, hey, we are a team that is on a pro level. They just beat basically a team of pro players, guys who were in Pro League, and they're continuing to do it now heading into tomorrow with a chance to repeat as champions with the same core and 2 random, you know, 2 new guys. If you're an org, how do you not look at Karn, Wi-Fi, and Kixro? Look at that core. These guys are just going to win back-to-back you know, tier 2 tournaments potentially, and say, hey, maybe that core is good enough to give us a chance at least in Pro League.
Yeah, it's one thing because the landscape and the competition in Tier 2 is obviously not nearly as high as it is in Tier 1, but to win the same Tier 2 tournament in back-to-back iterations is absolutely going to send a statement to the rest of the North American League. Let's check the bracket one more time, just as a reminder for the journey of both of these teams prior to the grand final. This doesn't include Swiss, but it doesn't need to, because now we have the #1 seed in Envy, and Karn & Co. were a 3-2 team in Swiss, and they just knocked off another 3-0 team, the #2 seed overall from the Swiss stage, and now they're going to the grand final. The stage is set. Either Karn & Co. repeat as champions for the second consecutive Element tournament, or Envy will step up to the plate and join a whole host of prestigious names to win a Tier 2 tournament in North America. Connor, I really like this matchup on paper.
Yeah, I really do too, because at the end of the day, both of these teams are just flat out teams. There's not going to be, sure, there are some standout players. Kobe and, before today would have been Gunner on the side of Karn & Co. But, Kobe wasn't necessarily going too crazy in that matchup that we saw earlier today. Gunner, he didn't go too crazy today, but it was the other 4 players on both this Envy roster as well as Karn & Co. that really stepped up, and everybody's hitting their strides at the right moment. It's going to culminate perfectly into that final BO5 grand final. Will the lights be too bright for those new guys on Envy? We don't know. But for Karn & Co., we do know at least that they've been there, and maybe that experience might give them a slight edge.
Seth, any final thoughts on the day?
I think it's interesting to kind of consider Karn & Co. heading into tomorrow in the final, because if you remember during Element 1, they head into the final, and we were all saying, GGG is going to run away with this thing, right? They're going to win. I think Karn & Co. walk into tomorrow with all of us probably thinking the same thing. Karn & Co. is going to walk away with this thing. It's going to be an easy win. They need to kind of put themselves in that mindset of, hey, we just because we beat, CLB, which I think a lot of us assumed were the favorites, doesn't mean we won. There's still another good team. Remember, Envy is the #1 overall seed, right? They're there for a reason. There's still another good team waiting to play them tomorrow, a team that's hungry and hasn't proven themselves. And on the side of Karn & Co., this is one more opportunity for a lot of these guys to show that, hey, we deserve a Pro League spot, or we deserve to be back in Pro League, and stop underestimating us. If we're able to do this consistently at Tier 2, nobody's given us the chance. How do you know that we can't do this at Tier 1?
Yeah, well said. I think we've run through basically everything that there is to say about the way that this matchup has transpired. We will save the rest of the breakdown and the analysis for what the grand final looks like in our pregame before the game starts up tomorrow. Again, same time, same place for Element 2, the grand final of the second version of this Tier 2 competition. Envy and the returning champions, Karn & Co. We'll get to it tomorrow. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Until tomorrow night, we'll see you then.
bro.